I stopped the car outside the house. I went to knock on the door. The boy said, "Don't worry, the key's under the mat. That way she doesn't forget where she puts it." Not a very safe place, I felt, but maybe now it was the safest place it could be. We went inside. I looked downstairs, filled the kettle up in the dingy kitchen, plates with old food on them, and put it on the stove, lit it with a box of matches left open. The boy, meanwhile, was up the stairs looking for his grandmother. He came running down, a piece of paper in his hand. He waved it frantically at me as the kettle began to whistle. The note read, "Dear Daniel," his father's name, "I found your grandmother unwell, and I've taken her to the nearby St. Mary's Hospital, where they are looking after the sick now." I turned the steaming kettle off, and we left the kitchen, the house, and back into the car. We drove up the road looking for the hospital for the sick. After about an hour's searching, we found the hospital. We drove into the gravel grounds to the wide entrance, opening the double doors of this old-looking building with its fine architecture and minute carvings, and went inside. Instantly we were hit by the sharp smell of chlorine. There was a lot of coughing and screaming. A lady was being sick in a sink which looked full up. There were those who, maybe like me, were slowly dying from the radiation poisoning that the fog brought with it. Even I had noticed myself. I had started to sniffle and had a sore throat. The boy ran off despite my attempts to hold onto his hand. I investigated. There seemed to be far more patients than doctors. I think I only saw 3 men in white coats. One of them was operating behind a curtain on some poor man, who lay as still as a ghost. Maybe his heart had ceased. I, not being a doctor, did not know what the condition of the man was. I sat down feeling a little worse for wears, blew my nose. A few minutes later or so I thought the boy came running back, but it was at least a full 30 minutes. I must have slept. I looked at the boy's face. It appeared as if he had been crying. Dry tears stained his pure face. He sat by my side and remained silent. The lights in the corridor faded for a few seconds and then came on bright again. Turning over to the second generator, perhaps. I looked at the boy and asked him what was wrong. He did not answer me, so I repeated the question again. With a sniffle, he looked up slowly towards me and spoke. "I found Gran. She's upstairs, first room to the left, cubicle 5C. I saw her from the door and ran up to her bed, but she did not move, didn't even see me there. I called her, 'Gran, Gran, it's me, Jason. Gran, can you hear me? You all right, Gran?' But she did not answer. I pulled up the chair close to her bed and stood on her and looked close up to Gran's face. 'Gran, it's me, Jason, Gran!' She turned her head slowly towards me. She looked straight into my eyes, but it was as if they looked through me, as if she could see me, but as if I was not there, not the grandmother I had known, not my Gran. It was her face and everything. It was there, but it was not. I don't understand. What happened to my Gran? There was no smile as I remembered, not laughter or a little prank she played on me. I tried to hold my tears, and I really didn't want her to see me crying. It was ever so hard. I kept remembering her as she was, as I knew my Gran. I don't know if she knew even who I was, just that I was a little boy. Maybe I could have been any boy, and she would have treated me the same. I want my Gran back, mister. I want her back. I don't want her like this. It better she's dead." The boy could hold his tears no longer, and his tears burst out. "Don't say that. You know, Jason, when you get older, we sometimes lose our faculties. We, as it were, sometimes revert like a baby. We forget things. We need help, love, comfort and care, like when our parents, like your dad, does for you now." "Like a circle, meeting the same end." "Yes, I guess so. Too often parents look after their children, and when the child can do nothing for itself, even an old person still can do some things, so the favour never is quite returned. It's your duty to love them as they loved you. It's only fair."
"I know, mister, but I miss her. She didn't used to be like this. I just want her back like that. We used to laugh. She'd make me laugh. It was fun. Now she doesn't even talk. Just stares."
The boy took my hand to meet his gran. When we got to cubicle 5C, we found 3 white-coated doctors there. We pushed our way through to find a more senior doctor, his hand on the boy's grandmother's chest, pushing down frantically with all his force. The boy walked up close and pulled the doctor's arm away. The doctor looked down at the boy and stopped, trying to make the old woman's heart beat again. I was amazed at the maturity of the situation, but I wondered whether he was doing it because he didn't want to see his gran suffer, or that he did not want to see her as she had now become. The boy turned around, and his face, despite his strong posture, was like the matter that makes the heart, tears streaming like oceans down the face, like a tap turned full on. I bent down, pulled him towards me, and hugged him close, as his warm tears and sniffling nose rubbed against my neck. Man must do many things that require of him a greater strength than really lives within the walls of his weak heart, and a child not grown a man must suffer even more of this.